Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Show on Wednesday. Hello everyone, it is February 21st. I'm CJ coming to you pre-recorded from Minnesota. It is currently 22 and sunny out, or it should be 22 and sunny, because I'm recording this a day early instead of when I usually record this. I usually record these on the Wednesday of, right in the morning, but I have to go to work a little earlier tomorrow, so I'm recording this on Tuesday. So yeah, the weather should be for Minnesota 22 and sunny. But anyways, otherwise, besides that, it should be a regular show today. Maybe a few minutes less, I'm not entirely sure yet. But for our topics today is a restaurant called Portillo's. I'm probably saying that wrong. Please don't, hate on me for that. So yeah, Portillo's, Mermaids, that will make sense later. We're going to take a little break then, like we always do. And then I'll be discussing movie animation and finding random bands on YouTube. Then our show will be over for the day. So let's get right into it with Portillo's. So this last Sunday, me and my dad were going out to, we were going through Woodbury, Minnesota, and they recently, a couple months ago, opened a new restaurant called Portillo's. And I believe it originated from Chicago in the 60s, if I remember right. I'm going to look this up. Portillo's. I'm just going to go to the Wikipedia page, I think. Yep, 1963, Illinois. In Villa Park. Okay, so... Majority of them are in the Chicago metropolitan area. Okay. So, anyways, this is my first experience. I believe this might be their very first restaurant here in Minnesota. I know they are in a couple other states, but I didn't hear about them until they came to Minnesota. Me and my dad were driving out past them a couple times, and we just decided to finally try it. And I gotta say, it's actually pretty nice in there. I do like the atmosphere. It's very busy. It's still pretty new, so it's pretty popular. And I gotta say, the food was pretty good. I got some double stuffed ravioli. My dad got a cheeseburger and some fries. We both just had some water. The ravioli, the cheese in it was actually very creamy. I kind of like that. It was around $15 between the two of us, I believe, for the total price. And I really like the atmosphere. I like the music that they were playing in the restaurant itself. And you could hear it from the outside, too, a bit. I think they had a speaker out there. And the building was all brick, and it was nice. It was kind of like, I want to say it looked 40s almost, or earlier. But they had stuff on the walls, like some famous celebrities and all that. And they also had some stuff about, I think I saw something about Al Capone. Some old newspaper articles, and that was pretty cool. And I'm getting a little stumbled on this, but I haven't seen this in a long time, or at least in more fancier restaurants you'll see this more, is the employees were either wearing, bow ties or just regular old ties. And, black and white uniforms, they had a cap on, and they were wearing a tie. I haven't really seen that in a long time, and it was actually kind of nice looking at that, just the design for their uniforms. They looked very professional, and they seemed very professional. And when you go up to the counter, you order, you walk down, and then you walk down a ways, and then they'll call out your order number, you pick up your order. But when you're walking down, you can kind of look into their kitchen, and their food actually looks kind of nice, and it looks fresh, a little more fresh. I'm not sure if it is or not, but to me it looked like it. At least at this location, I thought it was fairly priced, and it was pretty good, and they're not sponsoring me in any way. I just want to put that out there. But if you're ever, in, Chicago or Woodbury, Minnesota, or just any of those locations, or any locations, and you haven't tried them yet, I'd really recommend trying them. For the price, the food was actually pretty good, so I was kind of impressed with that. Anyways, I just wanted to get that out there as a quick note. So I think our next topic is mermaids, so let's get right into that. Okay, so mermaids, that's going to be kind of a weird topic for people, and one I'm guessing you didn't expect for me to say. But I think I'm onto something here, so just hear me out. I'm calling it now, mermaids are going to be the next trend in film. This might sound crazy. I know we still got the superhero phase. Superheroes are going to eventually go away, just like the westerns, and we'll just get a couple of them here and there. But I swear to you, mermaids are going to be the next trend. I'm calling it right now. And before you think I'm just lost my mind on this, hear me out. Okay, so we just had The Shape of Water come out December. Yeah, December, so it was like 2 months ago. Big hit. Had a marine creature in that film. I missed that film. I'm planning on seeing it when it comes out on DVD or Netflix or one of the two. So, big hit, right? Shape of Water. Now, Disney, with all their live-action movies, they're going to be coming out with a live-action Little Mermaid. I don't know if they've announced it yet, when, but they're going to be coming out with a live-action Little Mermaid. And guess who else is going to come out with their own little version of Little Mermaid? Netflix. So, we just had one popular marine creature movie. Disney's coming out with a mermaid movie, and so is Netflix. But, it doesn't really stop there, because if you've heard of the TV channel Freeform, I believe it used to be ABC Family. I think they had a lot of popular TV shows on. Let me see what Freeform. I'm just gonna Google this quick. What shows they have? Pretty Little Liars. I know that was popular with some of the teens. So they have some popular shows, at least. So they're coming out with a new show called Siren, and guess what? That's about mermaids. So we have The Shape of Water that came out, about a sea creature. Disney's coming out with Little Mermaid live action. Netflix is coming out with their own version of Little Mermaid. And now a teen channel is coming out with a show called Siren about mermaids. I'm calling it now. Mermaids are the next big trend in film. I guarantee it. Mermaids will take over. No doubt in my mind. Well, in the earlier 2000s, we had a couple mermaid movies. I think Aquamarine was one. If that was the name. Aquamarine. Yep, Aquamarine. That kind of got a big hit for a while. I know it was kind of big at the time. Came out in 2006. And what did it get on Rotten Tomatoes? Yes, I am live Googling this. It's worth a Google. Oops. Aquamarine. Okay, what did Rotten Tomatoes give this movie? 51% for critics and 61% for the audience score. Who starred in this? Oh, Emma Roberts was in this. Completely forgot about that. Huh. So, let's check out its Aquamarine film. Check out the budget and see if they actually made a profit on this one. Okay, so their budget was $12 million and they made $23 million. So they doubled their money, which, they did pretty decent. I remember this film being popular at the time, and, Little Mermaid is one of the most popular Disney films out there. And I think it kicked off the Disney Renaissance. So, mermaids, I'm calling it right now. You might still say I'm crazy, but I really do think that mermaids are going to be the next big thing for film. You might see this in literature a bit. I'm not entirely sure if it's crept in for books, because I believe the fantasy elements of, like, the Game of Thrones and all that, it's still there, but it might be going on its way out in popularity. Fantasy just seems to go in and out of phases of popularity. But yeah, I really do think for film and TV, mermaids are going to be the next big thing. That's my evidence. That's my argument. Take it or leave it. You might say, nope, you're crazy. We're going to have another 20,000 years of superhero films. But I guarantee you the superhero trend will end and Mermaids will take its place. So, yeah, we're going to take a little break right now, and I'll get back into it with movie animation. So, I'll see you guys in a second. Alright, if you haven't checked out my blog yet, you can check out my blog at the-quintessentialist.blogspot.com. That's the-quintessentialist.blogspot.com. I mostly do movie reviews, and I'll have a link in the description of this podcast. I also have my new Midwestern Gothic short story out. It's titled The Ice Witch Under Lake Superior. You can get that on Amazon, so check that out, please. Now back to the show. Okay, I just realized this by listening to my ads. It kind of sounds off, so I'm going to eventually re-record that. I think I might do that for the next episode. So I just wanted to give you guys a little note on that. I don't know if... Well, you've noticed, I'm guessing. So I'll try and fix that later. Hopefully by the next episode. So anyways, let's get back into it with our next topic, which is movie animation. So with animation, I'm talking about your standard 2D, your 3D, and you got your stop motion for film. And, well, 2D was the first, stop motion... Actually, I think stop motion actually predated all of it. Because you had, like, the early King Kong films, and that was stop motion. So yeah, I believe stop motion came first. Then we got 2D animation that was made big by, Walt Disney. Steamboat Willie, that's still a great cartoon. So we had that. And then now we have 3D animation, which I believe was pioneered by Pixar, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. And 2D animation, in my opinion, is the best. Then I'm going to go with stop motion animation. Then 3D animation is probably the worst animation out there. That's just my opinion, though. People talk about today, it's like, oh, go and see this movie and all this, and don't get me wrong, that a lot of these 3D movies, I really do enjoy, like Finding Nemo and all that. They're really good, but I don't see a lot of good animation if you compare it to the other forms. I don't think 3D animation can capture what, for example, 2D animation can capture. I really do think 2D animation is very superior over 3D because what you can just do with a like your pencil, your paper, or some ink or whatever color you're using for coloring. I think it's far superior than 3D animation. It just looks a lot better. There's more of a flow to it, and don't get me. I want to phrase it like this. Have you ever noticed in a lot of these newer animation films, especially the ones made by Disney, like Frozen, Tangled, all the new ones, Big Hero 6 and all those, is it just me, or do they just seem very blocky or just very basic or soft? And you compare that to some earlier animation by Disney, when they had stuff like Bambi. Now, Bambi is a very beautifully animated film. It was actually Walt Disney's... It was his fifth film, and it was his favorite, I believe, out of all the films that he made. But let's take, for example, Bambi versus Frozen. Frozen's very popular, and I believe they're coming out with a sequel soon. Could be wrong on that. But I think if you're just looking at the animation styles as just an art form within and of itself, I have to give it to Bambi because, well, the time and effort, and, it was all hand-drawn back then. I mean, I get it as a person who has done, a lot of drawings and a lot of art before. You do care more about the stuff that you put more time into, because you're just throwing so much time at it, you're really invested in the project. And with 3D animation, don't get me wrong, some of it can be absolutely gorgeous. but I don't think they can put the love into that style of art compared to 2D, because actually it takes a lot longer process, and you get more attached with it more because of the amount of time you have to spend with that form of art. Now, stop motion also takes a long time, a lot longer actually. I think if you're lucky, you get 3 seconds done in a day, because they have to move everything very slightly, and 24 frames a second. That's going to take a while. One of my favorite stop motion films, especially regarding like Tim Burton, surprisingly, I'm going to say not Nightmare Before Christmas. Nightmare Before Christmas is not my favorite for Tim Burton stop motion. I do like it, but it's not my favorite. I'm going to say Corpse Bride is his best. It's a really fun story, but I'm going to say the most superior studio out right now for stop motion is going to be Leica Studios. They're, none of these companies are sponsoring me or anything like that, but I'm just a lonely guy on the internet just giving my opinions on stuff, just one of thousands or millions or how many. But anyways, Leica Studios, I mean, if you've seen like Coraline or Kubo and the Two Strings, I absolutely loved Kubo and the Two Strings. I thought it was a very fun and mature adventure film for kids, and it captured something that's it treats kids more maturely, and I appreciate that. Disney, they used to be more mature in their content, but they've oversimplified it as the years have passed on. I mean, take something like... Well, yeah, Bambi. I mean, they originally were thinking of putting the scene where, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie, but, Bambi's mom dies in the film. They were originally thinking of actually showing her dying, but then they ended up scrapping that idea because they thought it'd be too dark for kids. And, it probably was too dark, but still, it's a very dark scene. And I don't really see Disney going out that far anymore. I mean, they'll imply or show it, like I was saying with Frozen, I mean... The girls, their parents die, and they kind of show it. Well, they show the ship going under. But you don't really feel the emotional impact of that as you do in Bambi. I mean, like, just watch the two scenes. It's just over in a blip second, pretty much, in Frozen. But in Bambi, Bambi actually has to really deal with this, and they show it as it progresses. How it feels, and then with his dad has to take over and watch him. I mean, you really see the struggle for Bambi a lot more than I do think you see in Frozen. And then, like I was saying earlier, with Kubo and the Two Strings, they really do treat that very maturely, especially with, the topics that they present in the film and the action scenes and spoiler alert for Kubo and the Two Strings. But both of his parents end up dying at the end of the film, and they actually do handle this very maturely, a lot more maturely than I thought they would. And I'm very pleased with that film. I'm not sure if I made a blog post on Kubo and the Two Strings. If I don't, I should really rewatch that film and make my post on that, because it is a really good film if you're into stop motion. It's probably one of the most... I'm going to say one of my favorites and most superior films because of just the way they handled the story. It's amazing, and the stop motion animation, because it's just beautiful. I know they add some 3D animation, but they blend it perfectly with the stop motion, and it's just amazing how they do this. But anyways, I'm just kind of rambling on right now, and you might like what I'm saying, or you might just think, oh boy, this guy's just rambling on. But anyways, I think I've gotten through this topic, and I could go further, but I think I'm going to end this topic here. So we'll be getting into random bands I have found on YouTube. Okay, so our last topic today is finding bands on YouTube, or I should say random bands on YouTube. So I don't know if this has happened to you, but this happens to me a lot. I'll be looking up some music videos, and then I'll just end up clicking on some stuff on the sidebar that's like, oh, that looks interesting, haven't heard that before. And you just go down this like YouTube rabbit hole of music. And the music itself is sometimes good, sometimes bad. But you'll end up finding just this most random bands and music you thought you would never hear. And some of it just ends up turning out to be completely beautiful, and you're wondering why. Why isn't this, like, top 40 stuff? instead of what's out right now. It's like, this is like way more talented, but you know, top 40 is more popularity contest rather than talent, it seems like. But anyways, I recommend if you just look up something you like, go on like the, you know, the sidebar, just click on stuff you haven't heard before, because you will find some stuff you do like, and you will just find the most talented of artists that aren't being out, you know, put out there as much. And I think these people should be supported a little more, you know, just watch their videos so they'll rank higher for the YouTube rankings. But I mean, the music that they produce or put out with their content, it is really good. And some of these people are just amazing. I mean, some of these bands or singers or artists, you know, they're just kind of standard. You would listen to some of these on like top 40, but for some reason they haven't got there. And then some of these are just, some of these singers have the most beautiful voice, and you're wondering why aren't these, you know, more popular? And it's just confounds me about how these artists aren't lifted up as much as they should be. But that's just my opinion on this. I mean, you will find some really good musical talent, and you'll find some really bad stuff too at the same time. But anyways, I don't really have much else to say on this, other than, you know, just next time you're looking up music on YouTube, when you see something you haven't heard before on the sidebar, just go and try and listen to something a little different this time. Try a different band, try a different singer, just something different, and you might be pretty happy with the results you stumble upon. So I think this will be a good place for our outro today. So I'm ending this episode a little earlier than the 30 minutes, so let's get into our outro. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wednesday Show. Episode 4. I can't believe I'm already 4 episodes in, 1 month long. Wow, that amazes me. So anyways, I hope you guys have a good day and a good week, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next Wednesday. So have a good week.